there, folks. It's a Friday morning. I'm Matt Edwards. You are in the jungle. Thank you for joining me. The Bengals, 32 hours away, just about, from kicking off in Nashville from the time I record this. I am scarily optimistic about the Bengals winning. I don't know that I've ever felt, certainly not in like a playoff game, I've never felt this confident in my life, given all that we've been through in the past. I feel like the Bengals are just clicking right now. They're so hot. I feel like all of Cincinnati and all of the Bengals fans around the world feel that way. I'm going to talk you through it here. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about why the Titans, for a 1 seed, by the standards that 1 seeds have set in the past, I don't really fear them. This is a team I'd want the Bengals to be playing this week, and we'll talk about a few other things. Flying by myself today, just been an incredibly busy week for me, outside of all that's going on with the Bengals and me trying to consume all the amazing content that everyone's putting out there, including the Bengals social media team. The Bengals YouTube channel, absolutely crushing it. All you old heads need to get on the YouTube bandwagon on your smart TV, because there's just phenomenal content on there if you don't want to watch NFL Network talk about Tom Brady and whether or not Mike McCarthy needs to be fired, 53 out of every 54 minutes of the shows they do. But I feel good. I feel great about the Bengals going to Nashville. Nashville, I was there in November, and it is a great place to go if you're into showing complete strangers that you cannot handle your alcohol. That's the city to do it. If you want to throw up in front of strangers, despite the fact that you're 34 years old and it's 2 p.m, Nashville is the city for you. They're also great at, what else? They produce some of the world's worst music and commercialize it, despite the fact that some of the best music in the world is made there. You want to sing about sitting on the tailgate under the moonlight, it is a place for you. And they are also home of a 1 seed that lost to the Houston Texans. I've always kind of liked the Titans. And then this week, it's like I'm just bubbling with rage. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously the Bengals are playing them, but I'm ready. I feel like I could suit up and go down on special teams and get blown up. At any rate, the Bengals have been on fire. Joe Burrow has been on fire. He's thrown 13 touchdowns since the last time he threw an interception. If you go back and look, and I know I've talked about this probably for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row now, but sorry, by the way, I know I sound really nasally today. It's early in the morning. It's winter. Whenever it's cold, I wake up and my head weighs 1,000 pounds. If you go back and look, the Bengals don't win pretty recently. They just win. Whatever it is, they find a way to win. And I know and maybe that's why the Bengals, out of all 8 teams left, had the longest odds to win the Super Bowl. Maybe that's why still, after they got that monkey off their back, people still don't really view them as a threat. It kind of feels like they're the odd man out here. It's still the Bills, Chiefs, Titans, and then maybe the Bengals, if a miracle happened, could get to the Super Bowl. That seems to be the narrative, and that's fine. But I also think we're and maybe it's because of the college football playoff and the rankings, we're kind of obsessed with winning pretty. Like the Bills go out and dominate the Patriots on Wild Card Weekend, and all of a sudden, everyone's on the Bills, right? And the Steelers kind of gave the Chiefs a little more than they wanted in that first half, and people kind of held that against the Chiefs. And the Bengals, Derek Carr and company almost go down and tie it up at the end, so maybe people aren't as high on the Bengals. I don't care about how you win. If you win, you win. And if you go back and look at history, you can see that time and time again. The Bengals have won 4 straight now, if you don't count that Browns game in which the starters did not play. But they scored 15 against Denver. Then they scored 41 against Baltimore, 34 against Kansas City, and then 26 against Las Vegas. Listen to that. They scored in the teens, they scored in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. This is a team that finds ways to win, and that they're not a one-trick pony. They will find a way to beat you no matter what it is. I mean, if you would have told anyone in Bengals Nation, hey, there's going to be a game-sealing interception against the Raiders, Jermaine Pratt would not have been in the top 5, 6, maybe 7 names you picked. Right? But this team, every single week, here recently, finds a way to win. And the chemistry, it's almost like there's an unspoken chemistry between the offense and defense that they're just going to figure out a way to be on the same page. The offense adjusts to how well the defense is playing and vice versa. And we've seen this time and time again, and given that the fact that the Bengals have beat the teams they have beat, most recently, the Kansas City win, as impressive as arguably any in the league this year, I'll just take them over anyone. I believe in, I think it was Derek Jeter who used to say regarding baseball, the best teams get in, but the hottest teams are the ones that win it all. And it can be like that in football. It's not always that way. And I'm not saying the Bengals are the hottest team. I'm not saying the Bengals are going to win it all. But I like the Bengals more than I like the Titans, who only beat the Texans by a field goal 2 weeks ago. And by the way, lost to the Texans at home this year. So all due respect to the Titans, I think this will be a great game. I think it's going to be a coin toss. I think, as lame and boring as it is to say, it's going to come down to who makes a play when they need it, who doesn't turn the ball over and give away easy points. I mean, a field goal, a fumble, anything could swing this game. A missed extra point, which we may or may not discuss in my prediction, Fat Randy. And it's not going to be a comfortable game either. Like everything else with this team this year, it will not be an easy one. It will not. You're gonna get your heart rate up. That's the way it goes. As I kind of mentioned in the onset, the Titans, as far as 1 seeds go, not that intimidating, right? If you think back, if you look at AFC 1 seeds throughout history, which I'll pull up right here, the Titans aren't that intimidating. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, excellent quarterback. So going back to 2017, I mean, there for a while, I mean, this is literally like 7, 8, 10. No, this is 8 years in a row from 2009 to 2017. It was either Peyton Manning or Tom Brady as the top seed in the AFC. From 2009 to 2017, 8 straight years. No, that would be 9 straight years, whatever it is. And that's why, I mean, Ryan Tannehill has had a great resurgence. Earned that contract. I picked him in the preseason to win MVP this year. He's excellent. He's not those guys. By the standards of 1 seeds, Ryan Tannehill is the 4th best quarterback left in the AFC playoffs, and he's the 1 seed. How often can you say that? I've also made it a point, I don't love getting the bye week. I'm a big believer in staying hot. We see this all the time, too, where teams rest their guys in Week 17 or now Week 18 because you've already got a bye or your seed's already wrapped up, and then a team wins off an emotional win to get in, and they come in and beat you. Titans haven't played, and it'll be 13 days. I like a hot team. These guys are pros. The Bengals are one of the younger rosters in the league. They don't need the rest. They're in good shape. Now, some of you probably have seen the stat that Tennessee is 8-0 when they have 8+ days off. Look at what the Bengals have done lately, though. Tennessee, I don't know why I wrote that there. Never mind that I said look at what the Bengals have done lately. Oh, that was out of place. That was for the previous one. Remember when I was talking about all the different ways they found to win? Tennessee 8-0 coming off 8+ days off, 4-0 after Thursday Night Football, 4-0 after bye weeks. That's all well and good. They play in the AFC South. A lot of those games are either playing Jacksonville or Houston. And again, these are all NFL teams, but it is what it is. And then there's this other narrative that Derrick Henry's just going to come back, and we'll find out later today whether or not Derrick Henry's going to play on Saturday, tomorrow. Who's to say he's just automatically going to be the best running back in the league again, which I think when healthy he is, and he's been healthy. I think he's the best in the league. I think that's hard to argue. However, he broke his foot, man. The thing that he plants on, the thing that he runs on, the thing that carries that massive, monstrous body. I'm a big fan of watching Derrick Henry run. But this idea that he's just going to come back after a few months off and be the Derrick Henry of old is just not necessarily something I can buy into. He broke his foot. So we'll see what happens there with Derrick Henry. Obviously, he is a phenomenal back, but he's been shut down in the past. You go back to 2020 in the playoffs, he had 18 carries for 40 yards in their loss to, who was it? The Ravens. So, and the Ravens traditionally have a better defense, and we know Calais Campbell and the pieces they have over there. But let's not act like he or anyone else is unstoppable, rather. And then again, the Bengals are going on the road. This has been something that's been talked about. They've only lost 2 road games all year, and they've both been fluky games where they've been caught off guard. They lost on Halloween in New York to the Jets. The Titans also lost to the Jets this year. Interesting little factoid there as the Jets watch this game this weekend. And then in game 2 of the year in Chicago, where Joe Burrow threw 3 consecutive interceptions, we know how that went. The Bengals literally had to do everything they could to give the Bears the win. Now, either quarterback throws 3 interceptions on Saturday, I'll tell you which team's going to lose. It's the team with that quarterback. But the Bengals have been great on the road. I don't know what it is. But they've both been fluky games too. Halloween to the Jets with Mike White at quarterback, and then game 2 in Chicago where the Bengals handed the Bears that game. They've won at Baltimore. They've won at Pittsburgh. They've won at Las Vegas, at Denver. 2 of those games, Baltimore, Denver, 3 of those games, I guess, Baltimore, Vegas, and Pittsburgh, blowouts. And you don't count that Week 18 game to the Browns, again, because the Bengals played like 2 starters. They're 5-2 on the road this year. They figure something out. Do I necessarily believe that matters this weekend? No. But I think it's an interesting point. I think that going on the road in the NFL, it is a home field advantage. Everyone knows that. But it says a lot when you talk about how young this team is, the fact that they can handle going out to NFL cities like Las Vegas, like Denver, where it's easy to have fun if you want to, and they still find ways to win. Titans have lost twice at home, by the way. I believe it was week 1 to Arizona. And then, as I mentioned, they also lost to the Houston Texans at home. The Titans, like the Bengals, have a couple bad losses this year. They lost to the Jets, and they lost to the Texans. They also lost to the Steelers, which the Steelers kind of sneaking in as that 7 seed. Can you call that a bad loss? I mean, the Steelers, I think you could argue, maybe the worst playoff team we've seen in recent memory. So do what you do. Fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter. On Saturday, when they get together, you can throw all that stuff out the window. The Bengals are as hot as it gets. The Titans, I think, are more experienced in the playoffs here in recent years than maybe people realize, ever since they've pulled off that upset a few years back against Baltimore, was it? So, like I said earlier, it comes down to who's not going to make mistakes, and that's going to be that. How long have we done here? We're at about 12 and a half minutes. This one's only going to be 15. I apologize for no guests. I really have just had the busiest week of my life, and I'm not mad about it. It's good to be out and about, but been a busy time. Let's get into some rapid fire, and this is only 5 things because I want to elaborate on them a little bit. Tennessee, and you probably saw this, they implemented this week, you cannot transfer your tickets until 4:30 on Friday. And they came out and they said they did this because on the resale market, they don't want Bengals fans coming into the game. Think about that for a second. They pretty much told their fan base, hey, we kind of don't trust you guys. We think Cincinnati's going to come down here and overrun our stadium. We're going to make a new rule. This is like crooked government stuff. They literally came out and said, we're going to make a new rule to protect our home field advantage because we think our fans suck. And they do. They're throwing up on Broadway before the game. What? I'm amazed by this. I can't believe it didn't get more attention. It's such a Bush League move on Tennessee's part to kind of say, and by the way, here's the other thing. It's a 4-hour drive from Cincinnati to Nashville. It's not like you need to, no one's booking that flight. No one's coming across country to go to this game. You can decide at 10 a.m. on Saturday, hey, I want to go to the game. Get your tickets and go. Do you need a hotel room? Not really. Game's going to be over by 9. At the latest, it'll probably be over closer to 8:30. You can get home at midnight, 1 in the morning. You can drive 2 hours north and stay in Louisville for the night. Whatever you want to do that. But it's just such a Bush League thing. And if I'm a Titans fan, I'm embarrassed. And Bengals fans, of course, have been through this a little bit in the past where the teams kind of came out and said, hey, come on, don't sell your tickets to Steelers fans. But they've never put in a new rule. I mean, that's an embarrassing thing to do. Nashville's really gone down on my city list this week. It's kind of disgusting. Matthew Stafford got a playoff win last week, and Andy Dalton now has the most NFL passing yards in the history of the sport without a playoff win. So he's a free agent this offseason. We'll see where Andy goes, and we'll see if he can get that monkey off his back. A ton of free agent quarterbacks that we don't need to get into now. We're still focused in the postseason, but the quarterback carousel for like the 3rd year in a row is going to be a ton of fun. We'll see where Andy ends up. Let's hope it's not in Western Pennsylvania anywhere. Zach Taylor did maybe the coolest thing I've ever seen an NFL head coach do. Went out amongst Cincinnati and handed out game balls after the win last weekend at Mount Lookout Tavern, which I'm sure some of you have been to in Cincinnati, in the Mount Lookout area. Spoiler. He got carded to get into the bar. The head coach of the Bengals, who is, I think, 38, so he's kind of youngish looking. He could pass for 28. Got carded going into the bar. Folks, pay attention to what's going on in your city. Know the happenings around you. Don't be this person. Although it's a great story. It's a great nugget. It's a lot of fun. It's very cool that, I mean, again, a lot of things get overshadowed. Of course, that goofy end with the Cowboys took so much attention away over the weekend. And then, Ben Roethlisberger's final game, blah, blah, blah. I don't expect the Bengals to get any national coverage. I don't care. I've said that 1,000 times on here. Keep making the Bengals underdogs. Keep telling Joe Burrow he's had a nice little season, buddy, but you're done. Keep telling this team that. I'm all about it. And I don't know how I got off on that rant, but I just thought that was a fun nugget that didn't get talked about quite enough. So I wanted to throw that in there. Trey Hendrickson will be back on Saturday. Just the biggest news of the week, and it really wasn't close. I was worried this would be a game time decision. I'm worried about a lot of things. That's the nature of being a fanatic. But he's back this week. It's absolutely massive to get a pass rush going and, of course, to stop the run. Larry Ogunjobi, of course, is out for the year with that foot injury. But the Bengals brought in someone, I can't even remember his name, who'll get some playing time. And Josh Tupou is now back and fully ready to go. So a big assignment for that Bengals front this week and stopping Derrick Henry. But I like what they've got there. I mean, DJ Reader's the most important piece of that defensive line when it comes to stopping the run. And this, you sign him. You give him that money for games like this. And I like the Bengals odds here this week when it comes to slowing down Derrick Henry. Are you going to stop Derrick Henry? I don't know. But Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, has been up to whatever challenge has been thrown at him all year. I don't expect that to be any different on Saturday. Finally, and then I'll get out of here, my prediction, I've got a 23-19 Bengals win. That 19 for the Titans, I got Fat Randy missing an extra point. The Fat Randy revenge game will not be happening. And I don't know that they had a bad fallout. I mean, Fat Randy had a nice time in Cincinnati. They gave him some money, gave him an extension. So they've just got Money Mac now and Evan McPherson, and that's much better. So, 23-19. I've got the Bengals winning on Saturday. Again, I think it just comes down to who doesn't screw themselves, right? Who is going to make the play when a play needs to be made. I mean, the Raiders, you look at them last week on that final drive. They converted a 3rd and 17. They converted a 3rd and 10. Conversely, the Bengals with that Jamar Chase 4th and 1 that leads to the Tyler Boyd touchdown. Who's going to make those plays and who's not going to fumble the ball like Derek Carr did early and give the Bengals 3 points? Who's going to not make the mistakes? That's what it comes down to. We see that. I mean, I'm not giving away any secret strategy analytical thing here. It's going to come down to who makes plays when they need to be made and who doesn't turn the ball over when it needs to not be. The ball never needs to be turned over. So avoid mistakes, make plays, and you'll get yourself a win. And I trust Joe Burrow and company to do that on Saturday. I'd like to see T. Higgins have a nice bounce back game. I think that he's been so hot recently, he maybe got a little more attention on Saturday. We saw what that did elsewhere. Tyler Boyd found the end zone. CJ Uzomah found the end zone. And in his first playoff game, Jamar Chase had himself quite an outing. So we'll see what happens. I'm planning to record. I've said the last 3 times now, and I've been a day late, but I've got to be on time this week. I'm planning to record a podcast on Saturday night. I've got a flight at 7 a.m. Sunday, so it's really my only option. Let's see what the Bengals can do, man. 1 win away from the AFC Championship. Wasn't sure I would ever utter that sentence, and here we are. It nearly brings a tear to my eye, and we're, in addition to that, 2 wins away from a different game, which would also, that would bring tears. So we'll see what happens. It's the best time of my life to be a Bengals fan. It's never been better. So the best season that I can remember, and it's amazing. I hope everyone's enjoying the ride. I've said that time and time again this year. As easy as it is to stress out, you got to enjoy this. This is an incredible feeling. The Bengals are playing on January 22nd. It's unreal. So everyone have fun out there. It's in the jungle. Not my best effort this week. I apologize. You can yell on me on Twitter. I am at Matt Edwards, or you cannot because you're nice people and the world is all sunshine and rainbows right now. We will see you on Saturday night. Let's hope the Bengals come out of Nashville with a dub.